Now, if we want to look at like a class act critique on Monster Hunter Wilds, I've seen all sorts of different like criticism thrown around, but I think that Monster Hunter here, friend of the channel, Monster Hunter, shout out to him by the way. This guy makes amazing content, amazing guides. I do not think he gets enough algorithm love, and I would love for this video to pop off so people could just go swarm his channel and
I'm
check
actually
it out.
very curious because I haven't seen this yet, and I'm very curious about his opinions and criticisms, if I agree or disagree.
Some of them I disagree with, but yeah, Monster Hunter, this guy, amazing critique on Wilds. While you may disagree with some of the stuff, I don't agree with everything. He doesn't give any like, oh, I just felt this way, or I can't quite put my finger on it. Like
he gives actual reasons for
yeah,
everything.
he gives reasons for literally everything,
Yeah.
and he even uses comparisons to other Monster Hunter games. And yes,
Good.
this guy has played old Monster Hunter games as well. He is a veteran through and through, but this is how you handle critiquing something. This is good stuff. I also think it's funny. You'll see it. I'll pause it when we get to it. I think it's really funny. We'll see.
It's been 2 weeks, and I amassed 171.5 hours of playtime in Monster Hunter Wilds.
Damn.
I felt it in the first 2 hours, but I
God
solidified
damn.
my belief that Monster Hunter
Yeah,
Wilds
homie's
is
going
a
in with it.
beautiful mess. But it's not the game for me. And that's okay. I didn't think it would be for a number of reasons. But after spending so much time with it, I can finally piece together how I'm really feeling.
So already we get to the beginning. He already postures up. It's just not the game for me, but that's okay. He says the negative, but he doesn't try to just go full incendiary with it from the get-go.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of people are either glazing Monster Hunter Wilds right now, or they're just going full tilt against it. I like that more even kill approach. I think that is so much more level-headed, so much more realistic. Even if I disagree, I will always respect that kind of approach. Continuing on.
If I were to rate Monster Hunter Wilds as a video game, I'd probably give it like a 7 or an 8. As a Monster Hunter game, probably a high 6. On my tier list,
Now, I gotta disagree with the base.
Yeah, I don't know what.
but
Oh wait,
the
he
thing
put
is-
world in D tier. Damn.
I think, yeah, I thought you would find that funny. He has world really low.
Yeah.
I think that's so funny.
And base generations on A. Oh.
I knew.
What is this? Is this-
Hey, all I can say is I knew Monster Hunter and I get along for a reason. But yeah, he's got base Ryzen V. Funny enough, and he's got it over 4. I think I can't quite put my finger on what exactly his tastes are, but he's like the thing is when you see a tier list like this that's so varied, you know that the person like they have a very personalized feeling about Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Instead of just regurgitating the safe options, I
mean, it's also it's obvious with him being a one weapon main, pretty much.
Well, I think he's played other weapons too. I think he actually played Charge Blade as well. I think.
Okay.
I think Swax is just his super major weapon of choice.
it ranks pretty low, like a C or a D among the base games. And I say base games because comparing it to an
And then here's his full.
Damn.
He's got Iceborne at the bottom.
It's Sunbreak S tier.
Oh, it's so funny, dude. He's even got Freedom Unite and Generations over 4 for you and 3U,
Fair
which
enough.
is not a common theme. Like most people would throw 4U up there just because they wouldn't want to get dusted by Old World fans, and let alone Iceborne at the bottom. But that's one thing. That's another thing I respect about Monster Hunter. He's willing to love it or hate it, put his opinion out there, and he's not just gonna try to copy the most popular thing. That's another. I know I'm glazing him a little bit. But I got mad respect for him. All right, continuing.
expansion is a bad idea. There are 5 major reasons why this game doesn't resonate with me, alongside a slew of minor issues. But let's first talk about what I genuinely enjoyed, because while it may not be the game for me, there are still parts of it that I fell in love with. The expansion of the lore is insane. The story has opened up Pandora's box, and I can only imagine what that means for the future of the series. For someone like me who's more invested in the combat side of the game, I never cared much about the franchise's story. However, with what Wilds introduced, I've actually gone and watched a ton of lore-related videos, mostly from Oceanus. If it weren't for the crazy stuff Wilds introduced, I don't think I would have ever cared. 2, the visuals are kinda on point. Performance issues aside,
He's definitely... He's praising the story a lot. I feel like it is worth a little warrant. I think that the Wild story is probably the most coherent story from a narrative standpoint that they've introduced.
Yeah. And interesting in my opinion, like with what's going on in my opinion.
True. There was a lot of interesting things. They did a lot to make you invested in like the whole team as well. Like they did a really good job with this one. Now, how it was introduced into gameplay mechanics, that's a different story. That's something I'll touch on my review.
Yeah.
But as far as like overall narrative, not bad. Not bad at all.
Visuals are amazing, from elemental effects to super minute details like footprints in the sand and water ripples in the forest. I actually find myself staring quite often at other things while I'm fighting, and it's just purely for dopamine. I especially love the Switch Axe's sword mode visuals. It actually brings me back to how good Portable Third's sword effects were. To be quite honest, World disappointed me because Charge Blade Discharge was absolutely insane, but Switch Axe discharges were just different colored movie smoke. Rise didn't do this any better just because in the demo, the discharge and file bursts were awesome to look at, but when the game was fully released, we just got dollar store fireworks. Like, come on, man, like what?
So that's another funny thing. I didn't even know about that.
Same.
Yeah,
What?
that's nuts. I don't know why they downgraded like that. That's nuts.
I would imagine because it caused performance issues on the Switch.
Potentially. Yeah,
That's what
that's
I'm
right.
thinking.
That's right.
What is that? Wilds, on the other hand, oh my god, look at these. Wilds
That looks
has
pretty awesome.
poison
Yeah.
grip,
It looks
ice
good, dude.
float,
It looks really
and
good.
Amp state on non-power file Switch Axes aren't just green anymore, but actually representative of the element.
They were
This
cooking
needs
with
to
these
continue
effects.
in every
Yeah.
game from this point forward. I don't care. It has to be. And third, armor customization, specifically the coloring side. I'll say it to the day I die, but Stories 1 had the best armor coloring in the series because you were able to change the color of the actual armor instead of a decal or some weird little fringe tip. So if you wanted like black Rathian gear, you got it.
Yeah, they do need
that's
to mainline and portable. Just any Monster Hunter release from this point, they need to make it to where you can just change any color you want. On the,
Yeah, I mean they've gotten better, in Rise and this game because they kept their stuff from Rise in this one with more coloring options. But we need more.
yeah. Well,
There's
I mean,
no reason
there's
not to.
always going to be like things that are you can't really change the color on. You just change the shade
Yeah.
of it, kind of.
Yeah.
Deal. So it's like ideally you'd be able to just change everything. Ideally,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that it's whatever.
Yeah. I gotta say, this is a really minor thing, but it is kind of satisfying to find fitting combinations
Yeah.
in drip.
Yeah, but back to it.
Outside of that,
Yeah.
gameplay will always remain the priority for me when playing any video game. Even if it's a story-focused game, the gameplay needs to be good too, or I'm not enjoying it.
You're damn
While
right.
Monster Hunter Wilds does deliver the same hunting action we know and expect, there's many aspects of its design that just ruin it for me. It feels like a downgrade as a sequel. I found Wilds to be a step back compared to Base World and Base Rise. A good sequel should not only address issues from its predecessors, but expand and innovate on the formula that made it great in the first place. Of course, by experimenting with innovations, you're obviously going to run into issues unique to that particular title. Franchises like Neo, Divinity, and XCOM excel at this by introducing new features and correcting what was initially wrong in their previous title.
So he talked about experiencing Wilds as a kind of downgrade from World and Rise, but he didn't necessarily. Yeah, I like how he elaborates and that he doesn't just say it's a downgrade, because what does that even mean, right? He says that a sequel or a following title should work to correct the mistakes from the past, as well as delivering new.
That I can agree with.
And that I agree with. I agree with that fact. The only reason why I don't hold it too hard against Monster Hunter is because the Monster Hunter devs have never been able to do that.
Maybe, I think, maybe I'd say Rise was the first time where they almost nailed, at least in Sunbreak, where they almost nailed it. Where every weapon was an upgrade. compared to World?
Well, I'm talking about like the full-blown experience, right? Like the full suite.
Oh,
experience.
yeah.
Like combat-wise, yeah, Sunbreak was immaculate. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better version of each weapon in World, compared to Sunbreak.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, as far as like full-on features goes, like the devs are constantly making weird decisions, and they constantly do things. They implement things poorly, or they have to overcorrect, or they correct. That's just the way. That's one of those quirks of the Monster Hunter devs. These guys are experimental, and they fly by the seat of their pants. And a lot of times they don't even know what they're doing. In fact, actually, let me. I thought we wouldn't have to see this, but let me pull up Eric's review real quick. So
I mean, an interview, right? The interview.
Yeah, the interview. When I was talking about the devs don't care about the same things we do, are the same things the hardcore players care about, things like that.
Oh, it's right there. No, right.
There it is.
Yeah.
It's the future for me. Resident Evil gets about 10 million different remakes, and Story's got a remake.
First off, here's a remake of old games. So people have been asking about remakes of old games. And here's the funny thing. And another example of Old World is now dead.
Or remake a Monster Hunter game is that it's always been an online game with multiplayer. So each generation of Monster Hunter game has been structured and built around the online capabilities of that generation. And those can be quite outdated in many cases, and we now have a much better online infrastructure. Trying to go back to a game that was from 2004 internet, update it in a way that actually feel good to play in the modern day would probably end up making so many changes that is it actually meaningful to call it a remake or a remaster of the first game. So I think that that's one of the principal reasons we generally move forward with the series rather than look back to remakes.
Makes sense.
So in essence, an idea of, I mean, it was that Japanese politeness, but essentially, in order to make the games even remotely enjoyable enough or playable enough to warrant making a port, you got to think from a cost analysis perspective. They're going to have to engineer new servers. They're going to have to do all these different things. They're going to have to put manpower behind it. They're going to have to compete with their new game, Wilds, which foundationally upon the title update system is reliant upon people coming and going as much as possible, especially with Monster Hunter's going to touch on it, but things like event quests that are going to be rotating out, things like that. Like they want people logging in, they want people. I mean, there's literally a login bonus for Wilds. I mean, come on. I mean, same thing with World, but golly. But yeah, rather than competing with their own business interests, they just would rather not do it. Because at that point, you might as well just make a new game as a whole, instead of going back and picking it up. And so they're not focused on that. And I doubt they ever will be, because they'd never want to experience a financial failure or take away from their current financial success.
Yeah. As much as I would want like an Old World collection,
that's not to say
I get why it's not happening.
Yeah, I mean, an Old World collection would be an interesting novelty, but that would be something like maybe if they have a dud Monster Hunter, like they sell one that just ends up flopping, like actually flopping, then they would explore that option. Which
we doesn't have to rule anything out completely.
Yeah, Ryoza's like, we're not going to rule anything out completely.
What we would do in the future.
So it might actually still happen, because I think at some point maybe like an anniversary thing or maybe something maybe. I doubt it, unless like I said they flop, they flop stuff. Yeah.
And one of the
so like as far as a remake or a port, that is something like the Capcom devs just don't care about it as much as you. Not like you, but like you, the audience. And here's what they have to say about endgame. This is another example of the devs are not thinking of the game the same way as you.
things that we're most interested in is the endgame content, because we like the harder, kind of gritty content. Do you have any, how is it being treated this time? Because that's where we spend money.
Now be advised, this interview is from 2 weeks ago, where the game hadn't come out yet. Wait. Yeah. No, wait. It has come out at this point. I think this was whenever the review embargo was lifted, like 2 days before the game.
Most of our time we're super interested in it.
そうですね。今回いろいろ環境がどんどん変化していく中で、いろんなもの。
I think it'll feel a little bit different and you'll have more options at your disposal because of the way that we've made the seamless experience of the maps work across the whole game. So until now, when you're playing endgame content, you typically had to post a quest, or if you're doing one of the more relatively open investigation style quests where you could explore, you still have to post it, and you and 3 others would go out on that quest. But just like in the rest of the game, you can now just go out into the map, and when you're at the end game level, there will be multiple end game level monsters, perhaps just roaming the map for you to explore and find. So you'll be opening up your map and everyone's finding the target you want to go after next and sort of exploring freely that way. So I think it's more of a seamless experience than before.
今回はその、いらないまあ言ったらいろんなモンスターがいるので、狩る対象だと思ってないけど、ちょっと今はこのモンスター狩ると美味しそう。
I think as well in the past the end game tended to be focused on the real big targets, and you were always choosing like the really big takedown for the best possible parts. That's of course still an aspect, but again, speaking to the idea that it's more of an open field where you'll be able to organically encounter monsters other than the target you had in mind. I want to make it meaningful to also take those chances to see, oh, I wasn't planning on hunting this guy, but actually I'll take it because he's here and we can get some good rewards. And when you do that kind of organic sort of side hunting during the end game, you'll be getting reward parts that you can use in a kind of a sort of melding style process that you can put to.
Okay, so we won't listen to finish him because he's wrapping it up. They don't think about the game the way that we do. They don't think about the game the way that you do, audience. For all involved, we just see arc build simulator. Tempered arc build, having the best rewards, we save the investigations, and then while we're doing our previous investigations that we saved, that have the better rewards, we're doing more of those investigations. And sure, there is like that idea of, okay, everyone can look at their own maps and they can find the best investigations involved. And maybe, you know, these are devs that love every single monster they've crafted, more than likely. They're not just thinking about Tempered Arcveld. They're thinking about, oh, they might find a decoration quest for Chematrice or Tempered Gypseros, and they might want to hunt that while they're in the middle of, like, while it's on the map. Mm-hmm. That's just not realistic. People aren't doing that. People don't want to do that. People want the best rewards, the best yield, and the best, you know, they want to, you know, whether people like to talk about it or not, they want to mitigate the grind by making the grind efficient. You've made the grind inefficient by making the loot disproportionate. And you did that purposefully because it's based on the star system. Tempered Arcveld is the only 8-star quest. It doesn't work the way that you feel like it works. And that's the thing. They don't see the game the way that we do. They don't grind it the same way. They don't even imagine to play it the same way. And you could tell that by watching any of the dev interview like or dev reveal gameplays. They don't even play the game the same way we do. And they never have. And so, you know, I'm not going to say that they're completely out of touch, but they don't value everything the same way that you do. It's not that they're stupid or anything, they just don't value it. They, I mean, they value opinion to a certain degree as much, you know, as the money goes and what's popular, but they don't think about things innately the way that you or I or the audience does.
You know, my issue with everything that they said with the whole seamless thing is that it's not.
In theory, if you're just going around an environment link and you're waiting on monsters to spawn, well, that's my problem. That's the only scenario.
Even then, the environment link is ass in this game because you cannot change maps when you're environment. You cannot pass time, change seasons, which is huge in this game and important. You cannot do anything that you incredibly limited because I really enjoy environment links, just going in and hunting. Because I don't, right now I'm not at a point where I just need to grind for the best shit. Because there's no point. Like, there's no crazy challenge where I feel like oh, I need to max my shit out right now. I'm taking my time. I'm just enjoying the game, but I can't. At least not in multiplayer. I cannot do environment links in multiplayer because I'd be stuck on that game in that season, and then I literally have to wait for freaking monsters to spawn.
Yeah, it's goofy. When they've made so many of the mechanics like tied behind the day passing, like getting your items that the traders are getting you, and monsters rotating, and like everything else.
And they advertise that switching or going through different maps is possible, seamless. You can just go there. You cannot do that in multiplayer.
Except in environment link, yeah.
If they fix that, like that's one of the biggest issues for me in multiplayer, because I actually like environment links. Because like imagine you can just you can go into the open field, kill that like temper raid out, and then you see there's a tempered Uduna in the forest, and you just fast travel there in the environment link. That'd be cool.
See that would have been sick in theory, but that's just not what they accomplished. And
yeah, because the armor link's so busted. And the thing is, I feel you can't tell me that they couldn't fix that.
Well,
it's not like they're missing the technology.
I mean, they possibly could. I think that was the original intention for the design, but they just weren't able to pull it off.
Which is why is that so crazy to me? They praise it as such a multiplayer game. How can you fuck up something like that when in multiplayer that much?
Well, they've always struggled with multiplayer. It's funny. It's like really good Japanese developers, whether we're talking FromSoft or Capcom, sometimes struggle with multiplayer more than anything else.
Yeah, why?
It's so goofy. But you can't even have multiple people in the training area.
In Rise you could, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like
it's insane.
There's just so much. But that's another thing. Like everyone values things differently. Tokuda values ecosystem and all of that. They don't think about things the way that we do. And that was the main point of showing like this video is they're not even considering some of the stuff that we do whenever
but they are taking criticism.
They take criticism, but sometimes they take weird criticisms like and sometimes there's things that aren't they don't take criticism at all. So who knows?
Yeah. And change things that didn't need to be changed.
Yeah, it feels like they don't learn from their mistakes in the past, and then they overcorrect things that they feel that aren't mistakes. Like, for example, when they removed hit stop and then had to frantically grab it and put it back in.
Yeah.
Well, some people didn't like it. Back to Monster Hunter's vid, though. Let's get it.
Sure. Not every change was perfect, but they weren't overtly destructive and made sure that they corrected the flaws of their previous game, even if there were new ones.
So back to context, he's still talking about what makes a good sequel a good sequel.
Other franchises like Halo or Ghost Recon fall short because they somehow find ways to just destroy the legacy of these games. Halo truly peaked at Reach, but with the decisions made by
I gotta disagree, Monster Hunter, but that's okay.
343 during the title update era of Reach, I called what was about to happen in 4. Maps and non-ranked game modes were being made with MLG as the priority by expanding the map sizes and limiting cover while making precision weapons like battle rifle, DMR, needle rifle, light rifle, and carbine the default weapon, even for regular Slayer game modes. It took the aspect of the for fun gameplay away from the series, and it signaled to me that 343 didn't really know what they were doing with Halo. As for Wilds, it's almost like they took one step forward with a problem that was in World, and then they take 2 steps back. Multiplayer is a glaring example.
This is what we were talking about.
Aware because I believe a majority of my audience started in World. Whoever posted the quest had to watch the cutscene before their friends could join, and the cutscenes weren't skippable. Classic Monster Hunter games separated village and hub quests, with the village showing the cutscenes for monsters, while hub just let you get straight into it with the exception of a few monster exclusive hub quests. Even still, it allowed friends to join quests that had been cutscenes by either showing everyone in the cutscene or allowing everyone the opportunity to skip it. For Wilds, you can skip the cutscenes, but your friends still aren't able to join until you actually do. What kind of nonsense is that? Even after skipping cutscenes, the disruptive flow makes co-op gameplay through the story so annoying.
Also, I don't think he goes into it, but the fact that you have to ride along in a tether to the cutscene first.
Yeah, and you can't use the sprint on the circuit. You have to go at the pace that the freaking NPCs go.
Yeah, you're in a. It's so goofy.
Because they have so much dialogue to get through. I get it.
It's so goofy.
I didn't mind it in the first playthrough, to be honest. But if I think about replaying this game, no.
Oh yeah, it will kill replaying, but most of all, helping people that are currently playing through it.
Yeah.
For me, that's the worst part of it for me.
Yeah.
Handled this way better by allowing players to join quests and watch cutscenes together. Granted, they weren't as dynamic as World or Wilds. To me, Wilds' approach undermines one of the most appealing aspects of Monster Hunter, which is hunting with friends. It's like when they took away split screen from Halo. Like, why? It's already frustrating enough that you're put on way too many rails during the course of the story.
Mm-hmm.
The rails were terrible, dude.
Now I can't even play with my friends without having to backtrack for them. Secondly, the pseudo live service format. While World and Wilds aren't full-fledged live service games, it flirts heavily with that model. Title updates, limited time event quests, massive lobbies, and login bonuses all nudge the game toward an unnecessary and frustrating format to deal with. The limited time event quests and weekly bounties locked content behind FOMO-driven rotations, which should never exist in Monster Hunter. Siege quests, while interesting in concept, need refinement to align better with the series' core gameplay, and I'm more lenient on this as every Monster Hunter game has an experimental feature that is improved in the next game, which I feel that Jin Dahad does greatly, because while it is technically a siege quest, it plays almost the same, except without all the tedious going back and forth grinding to break certain parts.
He's cooking there. If they're introducing siege monsters, they need to play like Jin Dahad, where you can just take them out.
I was gonna say, to me, Jin Dahad doesn't feel like a siege because you just fight him, you just hunt him. He has his own arena or like areas, but
well, that's the thing. The only difference between a siege monster and Jin Dahad is the fact that it doesn't take multiple attempts, or it's not coded to, or it's not supposed to. Like he still does the whole thing of moving from arena to arena in a curated fashion, which is exactly what Kult did, and it's exactly what Safi did.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like I don't think that's a bad thing. So.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. What Monster Hunter is praising here is that they should be like this, where you can take them out in one go, and you should be able to take them out, like, in a hunt.
Yeah.
That's a good addition. And as for login bonuses, they shouldn't exist in Monster Hunter either. Ever. Title updates, while free, promotes its own...
That's a nitpick.
It's cheesy, though. It's cheesy.
Yeah, I know, but like it's not like they're giving you something.
If they were more significant, maybe it would be more of an argument. But it is kind of nitpicky. But at the same time, it speaks into what they're doing, right? Like weekly challenges, weekly rotational event quests,
player attention,
login bonus, like all of it just screams, "Play our game, please! Play our game, please! Play our game, please! Play our game, please! Play our game!" So. You know, I can see that frustration, especially with rotational event quests. That's a goofy. You should be able to play any event quest you want to at any time.
I definitely agree with that. I fucking hate waiting for Kolf because I need someone for weapons and Master Rank or Safi, whatever.
Yeah. All right, let's get it.
Own set of issues. The game feels incomplete at launch, and power creep is so tangible. Let's be real here, guys. I've seen tons of theories talking about Capcom releasing Wilds a little too early due to the fiscal year ending in March. Any Tokuda-directed Monster Hunter game is a guaranteed hit, as he has more than delivered on the goal the series aimed for with World, which was to expand the franchise beyond being a niche series outside of Japan. Mission accomplished. So when everyone saw Monster Hunter World 2, it was already in the bag. With that fiscal year theory, people speculate that the game is left incomplete and that we'll be getting the rest of the game through title updates because they wanted to get their payment then before the fiscal year ended. Me personally, World felt complete on launch. Rise's development was hindered by COVID, so it had to use title updates to catch up to the true 1.0, and Wild seems like it's following Rise, but under different circumstances.
So, this is an amazing point. Wilds came out with a lot of features missing. A lot of things, you know, like skimped over or just not in. Like the Gathering Hub, for example, Zoshia only being available in low rank. So it's weird that Wilds didn't come out as finished as World did, because World, like it or not, did come out with a full finished suite. Rise had a very, very good excuse, considering its most important parts of its development cycle were marred by COVID.
Well, what would you say are we missing compared to World besides the gathering up and housing?
Okay, I'm gonna just list off a bunch of things. Well, actually, you know what?
Yeah.
No, I gotta save that for my review.
Well, like, do you think? Because I can't think of much besides the gathering up and housing.
There's a lot that's missing. Yeah, there's a lot that's trimmed out. If you really think about all the things that are missing, like some of it's
give me like one example so I can think of it. Yeah,
like you can't customize your palico or choose what gadgets are going to be on it or not. Like you have zero customization.
I don't think that's ever coming back though.
That would be weird. That would be weird if it doesn't. That'd be weird.
No, I mean in Wilds. In Wilds. We're not gonna get that in Wilds.
I mean, it's you never know. They always do weird things in the DLC. But
true. Maybe an expansion. Yeah, actually.
Yeah, they always do weird things. But like that's just one example out of like a lot. There's a lot of different things that just seem it didn't cross their mind because they were hurried or they just didn't have the time to implement.
Could be.
Back in though, let's get it.
Skills that aren't working on launch. Zoshia not being replayable.
Skills not working on launch. Flare. Though they said that Flare isn't bugged, that it's just not working with some weapons. That doesn't change the fact that Flare 2 still procs the non-elemental damage procs more. I think that's the thing that like Flare 2 is more consistent with that. So there's a lot of conflicting stuff going on.
Well, unless you accept an SOS flare. Certain monsters speculated to be available on launch that are pushed back. The promise
like Zoshia
of more challenging content that we have to spend the first month getting ready for. I mean, it's kind of out there. In my honest opinion, the game should come out feature complete, while title updates should improve upon that foundation.
He's not wrong. Title updates should not be used as a way to complete the game. Title updates should be used as just a way to put seasoning on top of it.
That's really not a lot to ask for, and it's insane that asking for simple things can get so much hatred from people who think that just having the game is already a blessing. It's kind of like Pokemon, where the national dex isn't complete until way later in the game's life cycle, and you gotta wait for updates to the game and Pokemon Home. Like, what happened?
So Pokemon example aside, there are a lot of people that will just defend Wilds. I mean, that is the way it goes. People will defend anything.
Yeah.
I kind of wish those people were around a little more during Rise, because that one actually was worth defending. Like as far as like being finished and complete, or being relaunched and complete. So that's kind of funny, but
yeah,
it is what it is. I mean, definitely don't like harass people that you disagree with, but at the same time, like defending is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you are defending Wilds, feel free to, if you don't mind, like if you don't mind the way that it's launched and everything, fair enough to you. You're entitled to your opinion. You know, that's just the beauty of the internet. You can say whatever you want uncontested, unless, or you know, even if it's contested, you don't even have to care. You don't have to respond.
Exactly.
So, you know, by all means, keep your viewpoint, but at least like hear people out. Like Monster Hunter is presenting a good thing, and other people are definitely presenting good points. Even I have a feeling like if Zelda Hunter were from earlier in the vid, if they were more articulate, maybe they could have presented some good points as well. You know, so
yeah, maybe.
If you want to use the excuse of ranked battles, just play the current regulation where you can only use that region's Pokemon for that period and allow people to catch or transfer old gen mons. Am I crazy for thinking this? These things are series staples, and yet in this day and age, we need to be drip fed the rest of the game? I hate that, especially with World and Wilds, because more content will release and allow you to slightly upgrade the talisman again until basically the end of the expansion content and its title updates, where you'll be able to max out the ones that actually matter. And the other issue, which was super prevalent in World and slightly...
I will say, that he is missing a little bit. I love Sunbreak and Rise as well, but they did trickle decos and they did trickle anomaly quests and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I think that if you're going to release a system, it should be at least substantial. Yeah, I think
because good.
I think it should be at least like near fully finished, because Sunbreak released with the anomaly quests, like you could only fight like Ragi and Arzuros and stuff.
Yeah, and there were no levels yet. You could only fight the low tier monsters as anomalies.
Yeah, so like there's some goofiness in the way that they utilize title updates. Like not even Sunbreak is free from it.
Yeah.
I think that feeling of things that could be finished, but they're just choosing to drip feed it, that's frustrating. That is a frustrating thing.
I would even argue, even though Sunbreak is my absolute favorite, Sunbreak is one of the worst offenders on that, because it kept the entire system locked.
Oh, the drip feed was horrific. The drip feed was horrific.
And then afterwards, they gave the increased XP, which kind of makes you feel, if you grinded originally without it.
Well, they did it as they went, right? Like every update, they would increase the XP up to the previous threshold. So it was
exactly.
Like, it almost gave you the feeling of, well, maybe I should just wait.
Exactly. Like after the first time they increased it, you're like, oh wait, if they're gonna keep doing this, then might as well play something else until they release everything.
Exactly.
Slightly corrected in Rise is title updates causing power creep. Power creep is the introduction of new content alongside legacy content, where the newer content trivializes the old content. If you remember from World, Call of Tarath and Behemoth's addition to the game, alongside several event quests with powerful armor like Dante's set, just constantly eclipsed other armor pieces by way of defense, skill combinations, and most importantly, decoration slots. Iceborne was no better with Safi, Raging Bracky, and Arc-Tempered monsters. Even Rise and Sunbreak had this issue, like with Sneak Attack Heaven Sent Gun Lance, Furious Dragon Conversion.
I'll say power creep is a problem, but I think the way Sunbreak handled it was a bit better. Because due to the Curios augmenting, you could make any of the end game like Risen gears like really good.
And also weapon wise, you could of course Elemental was king of almost everything, but
yeah. Now, Monster Hunter is a speedrunner, so he probably experiences it far worse because he optimizes to the letter, for speedrunning and optimal play. So that's a little more context on Monster Hunter as to why this probably hits him a lot harder than it would like a regular audience member or someone else.
Elemental Charge Blade, Frostcraft Greatsword, Wind Metal Dual Blades, Hellfire Cloak. The list goes on. You already know what I'm talking about.
You forgot about the Metal of Hellfire.
I think that's what he meant though, because Hellfire Cloak was ass.
That's probably what he meant. That's probably what he meant. Metal of Hellfire, yeah.
With how Wilds changed the decoration system, the possibility of new armors being released with better decoration slots could really see players shifting from base game pieces.
Or maybe he was talking about Powder Mantle, because he wasn't. Hellfire Cloak wasn't a power creep item. It was there at Sunbreak launch.
That's what I mean. Maybe he meant Mail of Hellfire.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Mail of Hellfire as well.
Oh yeah, wait, was it? It was scored Magnum Alu. Yeah,
Mail of Hellfire was scorned.
To the new ones every single update. Right now, Guardian Anjanath, Arkveld, Gormagala, and Jindahad pieces are the focus due to their skills, decoration slots, and combination with one another. If Mizitsune and the other powered up monsters' armor isn't trash and has good decoration slots and skills, this is guaranteed to happen again and again. I don't know, I feel strongly against it in a way that I know people wouldn't necessarily agree with. Because I personally feel like these new pieces should work better alongside the legacy content as opposed to completely overshadowing them. Number 3, the current endgame is terrible. A good endgame offers meaningful
He's not wrong.
Challenges and rewards.
But hey, that's a Monster Hunter.
I was gonna say, you better be shitting on the old endgames as well, so.
Well, this is my thing. The critique is about Monster Hunter Wilds, right? So it's I think the issue would be if people were to say this other end game is better when it's like really not. Well, she didn't even explicitly say the end game is better. That's how vague the post was. You know?
Yeah, true.
That's the problem with it. But I hate it when people are like, Base World's end game was way better. It's the same end game. It's basically the same end game. Come on.
Yeah.
So like, I hate it when people do that. I think that's where it's
yeah.
If you're just critiquing the end game for its own end game, that's fine. That's completely fine.
Yeah,
I mean,
even then I would disagree though, because I don't think it's that bad in this game in Wilds. But yeah,
I think it's dog shit. I think it's not very good.
I think there was worse.
I think that Base Worlds was
okay.
worse. I think that Base Worlds was worse, but I think it's still dog shit. But that's another thing. I think most Monster Hunter in games are dog shit. You know, as I said earlier. So it's not like it's game ruining for me. You know, it's not something I value end game a lot, and I'm gonna play it a lot regardless. I don't think it's great. I think it could be better. I think it could be better. And I don't just think it could be better. I think it could be significantly better. Like
yeah, I mean, if they gave us something like anomaly levels right away, I would be really happy.
Well, I think like if they made like 5-star apexes, 4 and 5-star apexes, also 8-star quests. You know, like little things like that, like increasing the loot pool, making their spawn rates better. Like those are just like a couple of examples. You know, Arkveld can spawn every single map, which makes his spawn rates a lot higher in terms of frequency. Increase the spawn rates for the apexes. Maybe give us a new season beyond Plenty, Fallow, and Inclemency. Give us a different season that increases the apex spawn rates or guarantees it. You know?
Well, isn't that Inclemency?
Inclemency doesn't guarantee it.
No, it doesn't guarantee, but it's a higher chance, right? Because that's there.
It's a higher chance because that's like when it's supposed to spawn. It doesn't actually give it. It doesn't innately give it a better spawn rate than other monsters.
Fair.
It just makes it have a better spawn rate compared to itself.
Yeah.
Which is funny in principle as well.
Yeah.
So like that's just some of the examples.
Yeah.
Wilds, however, relies on tedious farming loops centered around archon weapons. These weapons are obviously superior to traditionally crafted weapons, forcing players into repetitive hunts for the materials required to make them. The only challenging monsters are the Apex monsters, Gormagala, and Arkveld if they're all tempered. It kind of makes it boring in a way. The process is full of issues. Monster spawns for investigations and their quest rotations are annoying to get. Random material rewards like blades and devices having 2 stat types and 2 elements make it super grindy, and the exhausting grind for Orichalcite all combined to make Monster Hunter Oops All Arkveld.
Oops, all Arkveld. So yeah, the process of getting good reward investigations as well as the bloat of rewards. So like this is another example. I know I keep coming back to it, but the devs don't see the game the same way as you and me. Why do 6 and 7 rarity Ardian parts exist?
Yeah.
They shouldn't exist. They just it is diluting the loot pool with unnecessary stuff and rendering some of the monsters unnecessary to fight. That is where like they should have learned from Sunbreak, where any monster's parts could be substantial because you required them for augmentation.
I'm trying to think, what would they give the lower tier monsters then as a reward?
They could just have an infrequent, like a less frequent ability to give you as many parts. Maybe
so the same rarity, but just less amount.
Perhaps. But the reason why they had to do it the way they did is because they drip fed them in during the story. They have to incentivize each different step. But they do this every game. You know, like I said, there's a lot of decisions they make that just kind of waste resources or waste things because they don't think the same way as like players.
Yeah.
Who's making a rarity 6 Ardian weapon that isn't like someone who is a noob?
Well, I did it during progression. I did because I just could.
I mean, sure, but did you use it?
Well, yeah, I couldn't make any monster upgrade, so I was like, oh, I have these Ardian parts. I make a rarity 6 one.
Oh, well, did you quickly upgrade out of it?
I think so.
Yeah, it was just a gap filler. It might as well have been just the ore tree. Literally, if you would have just went and got some carbolite ore, it would have served the same purpose.
Probably, yeah, but I wanted to. I think I remember I was like I wanted to use sword and shield at that moment, and then I couldn't make anything besides the art.
You just did it.
Yeah.
Well, like I'm talking about like in general, like investing into it, like it's like upgrading all of it, like all that.
It would be nice if they had some purpose, like maybe you could upgrade rarity 6 once, like if you have a good roll on them, you could upgrade them to rarity 8 or something, you know?
Or at least make them give you more points, you know, when you refund them at least, you know, things like that.
Or why not let us? This is something I don't get. Maybe you can do that. I just don't know yet. Let us melt the parts for ore, even lower tier ones. You can. It's just not significant. They don't give you many points. Well, see, then they would have to change it, in my opinion, because then it would be worth it. You know, you could grind the higher tier investigations to make the rarity 8 weapons, you know, make them to craft them, and then you could do the lower ones to get resources to upgrade them. Yeah, that would be an idea. That would feed into it a little better. But when the more complicated, the more hoops you make them join, the more the general populace won't like it. I mean, the system's already there. Just increase the points that you get from it. Yeah, but it's gonna be funny because even if they do that, a lot of people are still gonna be like, it's trash. They can suck my nuts. Sorry, I'm just kidding. No, because it would make me happy at least. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it definitely needs to happen. It definitely needs to happen. Anything but what it is right now. Actually, saying that they might do that. I think they might do that in the updates. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe. Well, they've been known to increase some things, you know, like give more thing and whatever. Sometimes. I know. I know.
Even for a game that thrives on grinding, this system feels unnecessarily punishing. Worse yet, the Arson system strips away customization for weapons with complex mechanics. For instance, Switch Axe and Charge Blade can only have element file with elements and power or impact for status. Why is there no option to have other file types, and why can't there be elements with power or impact file?
Yeah, now Monster Hunter's cooking with this. There are a slew of weapons that actually suffer from a similar problem. Gun Lance, Switch Axe. Oh yeah, because the shelling levels, right? Mm-hmm. Well, just shelling type too. Like. Oh yeah, that too. Like there's so many like different things that are. It's almost like they're half-assed for certain weapons. Well, can you? I tried to make an Argent Gun Lance. Can you even make them with like stronger shelling? You can't change anything about the shelling or type. Yeah. All right. Which is why Guardian Arcfield's the best right now. Yeah. Yeah. It's for wide. It's right for wide. No, and period. Well, because wide is so strong. Well, not just because wide is so strong, but because the raw is much higher, and you have slightly strong, like shelling type or shelling strength. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, so like the gun it has everything. It has wide, because wide is fucking good in this game. It charges your freaking, what's it called? God, wait, what's the move called? What the hell? I forgot. Come on, the Wyvern Blast? Yeah. It charges Wyvern Blast faster than the other ones. Its charge shot is stronger and everything. Yeah, exactly. Like, the charge shot. It's just really good. It's able to do anything. Like, it's able to play any play style with Gun Lance. Yeah. And still make it work good. And the full burst does a lot of damage too for wide, which, you know, it shouldn't, but it does. Yeah. But continuing?
It's like this feature is half-baked for some weapons. Like, not like it matters though, because paralysis is a new meta anyhow, but the system caters poorly to advanced mechanics and rewards raw damage builds over creative playstyles. If there's anything we've learned from World, the level of overcorrection to make element more important than a particular status could result in another nightmare scenario like Alatreon. I'm sorry,
He talks about Alatreon being the overcorrection for raw being so prominent in World and Iceborne. Which is true. It's really cheesy the way they handled it. But it only corrected it for that fight, and that's it. Well, you forget that it was a title update fight, which means it was the substantial fight for an entire season of content. Yeah, for like 2 months. Yeah, so like that was the substantial content. That was and you gotta think, at the time, Alatreon was the hardest fight in New Gen Monster Hunter.
But the thing is, the people, they still didn't switch to Element in general. Generally they'd switch to it for that fight, and then they went back to Raw.
Well, yeah,
fighting
that's the goofy part. Instead of making Element good, they just they put you in a headlock and force you to do it. Which is what I assume Monster Hunter is, upset about too, because build variety is good, though depending on how you feel about grinding and everything, you might have a different opinion on whether you want your weapon to be a raw specific or elemental. So
I know people like Eschaton Judgment, but giving it an MMO mechanic should not have happened. Behemoth gets a pass because it comes from an MMORPG and it was done right. But Alatreon was a step too far. Instead of giving it the ability to kill you for free.
Also, now listen to this part. This part, Monster Hunter cooks really hard because he talks about the corniness of MMO mechanics in Monster Hunter, and this is a sentiment that I felt. Even when I was discussing like Jindahad's Nova, instead of making something actually interesting or making the fight more difficult, via moveset or via, anything they could have done, and they rely on some kind of gimmick, to some degree, and the novelty of it wears off pretty fast. But listen to what Monster Hunter proposes for Alatreon.
They should have had Alatreon start off in an entirely unstable state, where the more elemental damage you deal over the course of the hunt, the more you suppress its power. Basically copying World Fatalis, where breaking the head reduces its flame power in the final phase, but you can still win without doing so.
So, Fatalis's head break is interesting, because you can still win without breaking it. You just have to be careful about not getting one-tapped by his flames.
Yeah.
The concept of Alatreon having a similar thing, where he's just straight up harder, and you have to element topple him to make him easier. So he starts off front-loaded.
That's what I want to know. Harder, how would you make him harder or easier? What would change? That's what I want to know.
You and me, spitballing real quick. In order to make Alatreon more difficult while being in an unstable elemental state, maybe his horns are always electric, so you can't actually get on his face and clutch claw him. Kind of annoying, yeah. But that's just one example.
Well, you could make it really simple and just make him do less or more elemental damage.
You can make him do less or more. I mean, you can make his that's exactly what Fatalis' headbreak is. He does less or more.
Exactly. And it changes the fight, because not only that, it changes also the AoEs for a lot of them, actually.
True.
The attacks are bigger, so
some of that stuff you could do stuff like that. Yeah.
They could have done the same thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that, yeah.
I saw a clip
Even though I love
that I'm too lazy to find of Asmongold speaking about games and how they shouldn't be made with the advanced players in mind, because they'll find ways to make the games more challenging on their own, like speedrunners or challenge runners. I disagree, as challenging content is a cornerstone for players who've reached the pinnacle and want to test their high-end gear against something that won't croak in 2 seconds. So long as this content is optional and not mandatory, as players of a lower skill level need to learn the fundamentals and improve their own skills before they too can take on these challenges.
Now, I'm not going to give away all my thoughts on that, because I plan on elaborating on something like that in my own personal review, because I do have thoughts on it. But yeah, I agree that I like how he talked about on the upper end whenever you're fully geared, because people are crying about difficulty right now and progression, and it's that's a whole different discussion for later, but you can't expect EX Deviants, Iceborne Fatalis, Special Investigation Risen Shagaru, you can't expect any of these going from one of these monsters or any of these monsters and then just hopping in low rank and stuff and expecting shit to beat your ass. You can't.
Well, not even low rank, even high rank.
Yeah. Or true, even high rank to a large degree. So, I like how he talks about how, and on the upper end, you know, because it's just not realistic. It's not realistic. If they made the game like that, everyone would have never bought a Monster Hunter after World, and they certainly would have never bought Iceborne, because they never would have made it past World.
Yeah, I mean, Sunbreak...
Because everyone likes to talk about how World is more difficult, but it's really not.
No, the base game is a fucking joke. Man, I was speedrunning even Kushala in 3 minutes on average.
Yeah,
not trying that hard.
Well, you know, it's part of just revisionist history. People don't really remember, or they experienced it in a different way. I like what SD Shepard said about base game difficulties. SD Shepard was basically... I don't like everything SD Shepard has said about difficulty in the new gen games, but I do like what he said here. He said, and I might butcher it a little bit, but he was basically like, the base games for Wilds, Rise, and World are so similar in difficulty that they're so marginally different that you might as well not even work to try to differentiate between them. They're all easy.
Topic's not going to really be about difficulty. World, Rise, and Wilds are all as easy as each other on launch.
And I would argue that 5-star tempereds are harder than anything World or Rise had to offer in base.
I would say you're correct for Tempered Gore and Tempered Arkveld. I don't think that there's any base game challenge in either of the games. And funny enough, I do plan on making a video about that for later.
Hell yeah.
And I actually hopped on World a little bit ago and made a high rank set for the occasion. But yeah.
And I mean, and the thing is, that's the thing. I played through World to the whole game. I don't know, 4 times? From beginning to Fatalis. And I beat Fatalis a freaking MR30 or like 35, whatever. So I've experienced it without the
nostalgia goggles on.
Exactly.
Or like just I'm learning the game goggles on.
Yeah. And I don't know. The difficulty discussion is annoying.
Well, the thing is, like, difficulty is also really weird, right? So like, anecdotal, it's subjective. There are people that will triple card against a monster 2 times, and they'll be like, "Yeah, it wasn't that difficult."
True, Asmongold.
Or just a lot of fans, and it's like
I know, but Asmongold's like the biggest example of that, right?
Well,
he fucking plays like ass, and then he's like, "Oh, the game's not that easy."
Well, yeah, he might be playing a character. Who knows? But that's the funny thing. Like, I can't conceptualize that. I can't conceptualize how you can say something is easy versus difficult whenever you triple card it against something that was that someone else would consider exceptionally easy. So that's the thing. It's subjective, but not having anything at base to challenge the vets or like the really good players, that's the misstep Wilds has. And not saying they need to have something torturous in there, but they need to have at least one thing. They need at least have one super boss, dude. One. Give us one.
But we also, like, you would say that the other games also didn't have that, right? Base.
Well, no, they don't. But that's the thing. Like,
okay.
You should.
No, I agree.
Yeah, you should have something.
That's why I'm hoping that the wording in that title update information is that we're gonna get a new tier beyond tempered.
It's not. It's not gonna happen. It's not.
I mean, but
maybe like an AT equivalent, copium. Like an arch tempered equivalent. But that's not really a new tier. That's just a whole different.
Well, yeah, but just something beyond that, because I just hope so.
It's not gonna happen, dude. They're busting out the gathering hub. This next stuff they need.
I know.
They got a whole new combat system coming. Hell no.
No combat system, but just tougher monsters.
Well, the new monster system. There's no way. They're playing catch up right now. They're playing catch up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe that was supposed to be in there. That's why some arty stuff feels so half baked. I'm also now. This is also copium.
Yeah, you're coping mad hard, dude.
I know.
I like Wilds too. Don't get me wrong. I love Wilds too, but that's cope, dude.
I know. But I'm gonna keep coping.
Well, you're sipping on the hopium right now, not just coping.
I will keep doing that though, because I'm enjoying the game.
All right. Let's Let's see what Monsterhunter's got.
Number 4, the UI at certain points is god awful. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, cause what the fuck is this? This is so needlessly complex.
Yeah, that shit is ass. And it's weird that you can't rearrange the box too. Like you can't rearrange it.
Oh, you can't even sort it. You can nothing.
Like it's kind of shit, dude. It's kind of shit.
Yeah, I mean the item. To be fair, I like the new item bar, like new item pouch, way more than the old one. I like that way more, actually.
It's kind of sleek. It's kind of sleek.
Do you know how you can now like, like expand it, like an advance, like you can expand it and then choose what you want without going through the whole freaking item bar.
Oh, see, I just use radial menu.
I mean, I do that too, but I don't have shit like freaking lure pods or dung pods in my radial menu. I really don't.
I have those in my radial menu because I actually use them in this game.
I might have to do that, but like you can expand it and then you have to look at that. It's pretty cool actually. Like, it's really cool.
I think I'm just gonna stick to radial menu, dude.
Probably, yeah. I know. I was just too lazy to set it up yet.
I actually waited like until I was HR 100 plus before I set up my radial menu.
See, fair enough. Yeah. Why did you do that? Yeah.
That I'm baffled it was allowed through. I hate the item pouch with all the fire in my soul.
Oh, yeah, it's the item pouch, not even the box.
Stupid. I don't even need to elaborate.
I disagree.
Yay, the chest is automatically sorted, but good God, that doesn't make up for it. The number of menus are insane next to submenus. How do we get here? If you have a particular choice of preference for how you want your UI to look, such as camp equipment screen or smithy armor screen, that stuff will revert if you exit the game or exit the menu in some cases. I love World and Rise's equipment screen. Just show me the armor by series by default. I was never a fan of classic Monster Hunter's armor and weapon equipment screens since they just show differently colored JPEGs of the armor image, and if you had a lot of them, finding what you wanted was a nightmare, and it's nice that they allow you to see your armor in the classic format, but hot damn. And the worst of all, there's no remove all decorations from chest feature. You might be saying to yourself, but Monster, it's right there. No, it only removes the decorations from your current armor. Dude,
that is true.
Even World had this. How the hell did we get here? I'm supposed to navigate these stressful ass menus the whole time? Oh, hell no.
So the funny thing is, UI like nitpicks, oftentimes they're just, the UI sucks and that's where it stops. I like how he does go like down the line and talk about like different ones he liked more and like less.
I cannot wait.
I definitely agree that also like the settings when how they present the armor and stuff in the equipment menu, they should make it so it saves it, because it's good that you can customize it, right? It's really good, but the fact that it resets is stupid.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah. Goofy.
I disagree. It's like I only disagree with the item pouch because that's maybe, I don't know, he just doesn't like it, I guess, because it's not bad. I don't think it's bad. But the item box not being sortable, that's bad, yeah.
Yeah.
For the next Portal game, especially if it's by Yasunori Ichinose. Lastly, which connects to my last whole time? Oh, hell no, bro. I cannot wait for the next Portal game, especially if it's by Yasunori Ichinose.
Ichinose the
Lastly, which connects to my last point, I just don't like the direction of the mainline games anymore. I enjoy playing older Monster Hunter games outside of Monster Hunter Tri. That's my least favorite MH game next to World. Have you ever been jumped by a pack of Jaggies before? Not fun. However, with the current direction of the mainline games, I'm less and less invested as certain elements are being changed in ways I just don't personally like. That's not to say that you can't enjoy them. Go ahead.
Now, this is the single thing that he doesn't elaborate on. Or maybe he did elaborate, like the whole video is kind of like that hit piece on the Tokuda directed games. Because World also did the MMO mechanics that were cheesy. World also did the rotating event quests. World also did the daily login bonuses. World also did, a lot of these things that he mentioned he doesn't like in the video. So maybe that was kind of his elaboration on it.
Wait, did Rise have login bonuses?
No.
Okay, yeah. I was like, I don't remember any of that.
Yeah, Rise didn't have login bonuses. Rise did have that, like, really goofy, like if you had it was on Nintendo Switch, if you had the amiibo, you could get some more gambling rolls with the amiibo. That was funny.
Oh, and the amiibo, yeah, and the amiibo, man, the amiibo exclusive armor was so nice.
Yeah,
I really hate that
funny.
we didn't get them in the other consoles.
But yeah, that was that's like the only thing he doesn't really elaborate too hard on. But him him already saying that he he doesn't like mainline and like doesn't like World, he's already like cooked by a lot of Monster Hunter fan standards.
Well, I'm really curious now why, what he doesn't like about the direction, because it could be what you said, it really could be, or it might be something else. I want to know.
Well, he probably just didn't want to commit like Monster Hunter career seppuku, on the stands.
I mean, that might be enough already what he did. I don't know.
Well, no. I think that he did it in a very good manner, and I think now the Monster Hunter fan base has matured enough to get out of the world glaze standpoint.
I hope so.
And funnily enough, there are a lot of people that are leaving Wilds and playing Rise, which that's the Monster Hunter cycle. they
exhausted what they can do.
This new game sucks. We're gonna go play the one before it. Oh, this game was better than I thought. Maybe I was too hard on it the first time. It's just the grind pay. The next Monster Hunter, people are going to be coming back to Wilds after the next game. This next game sucks.
Well, also because Wilds is going to have all his updates and probably going to be great. Or much better
that is the thing. The updates glasses will definitely be put on. But at the same time, it's a funny pattern. I think the Monster Hunter community as a whole is finally ready to hear that World really wasn't as good as a lot of people made it out to be. Not to say that it's not a good game or a good Monster Hunter, but it was inflated so hard because of how many people got in that it was a Goliath. And it's still a Goliath to this day, where people will just defend it no matter what. You would not believe the amount of people that in the crazy Kuda video are still, World is the GOAT, this guy's right. There's actually people agreeing with him.
Oh, I believe that's right. I totally believe that.
Dog. Oh man, but yeah, let's let Monster Hunter finish it out. Let's let Monster Hunter finish it out.
Yeah. But my faith lies in Ichinose and several lead player designers who, if you didn't know, are the ones responsible for what your hunters can do. I'm not saying it's purely the experiment.
By that, it sounds like he's talking about how a lot of the cool things that we can do now as hunters, it's thanks to the portable team influence. It's like a lot of like focus strike and everything like that, and as well as extra moves that came alongside like Rise and Sunbreak inspiration. Maybe that's what he's. Here, I'll just
replay it.
But my faith lies in Ichinose and several lead player designers who, if you didn't know, are the ones responsible for what your hunters can do. I'm not saying it's purely the experimental factor of the portable games that intrigues me. Far from it. It's due to their continuation of the traditional Monster Hunter formula paired with the entertaining gameplay. I don't mind if it seems shallow that I prefer the portable titles. I'm sure there are people who only like Monster Hunter's mainline.
So he's talking about how the mainline titles have people in charge that focus on, not necessarily, they still focus on the combat, of course, but not
as much on the combat, yeah.
Yeah, like the freaking people that made GU and Rise, of course.
Yeah, I think it's funny how he said, I don't want to seem shallow for mostly liking the portable titles, but I think it's more shallow to just like the mainline ones because of graphics and fidelity.
Well, yeah, exactly, because if you enjoyed the gameplay, that's, I think, not shallow at all.
Yeah, I mean, remember everyone in the beta, World looked better than this, World looked better than this, World looked better than this. The Wilds beta.
Yeah.
Style, and I'm absolutely certain there's people who only enjoy the World formula, and that's okay too. Wilds falls flat for me, but I'm still going to play it and deliver the best quality videos that I can. I know I missed the boat of early content creation, but I'll try to ramp it up in the coming weeks. Anyway, Monster Hunter Wilds may not be the game for me, but if you enjoy it, then that's all that really matters, right? Until next time.
I have to say, it's kind of sounds like you already gave up on it, which I think it's a little bit too early because they might still deliver updates or expansion where he's gonna.
There's no title update that's gonna change the core aspects of Wilds.
No, but I think they might fix a lot of the issues that he has.
I doubt it. Most of the issues like this are rectified in the DLC. Most of the time, though, what we have seen and observed in the Monster Hunter development cycle is that the developers double down in whatever they put in the base game. Monster Hunter World. Oh, you guys liked farming RNG element for cool, right? Get ready to do it again. Oh, you guys really liked Behemoth. Here's Ancient Lesson. With even more annoying stuff than Charybdis. Rise. You guys really like those rampages, huh? We're gonna make every Apex monster tied to rampages. Have fun.
Well, no, didn't Rise kind of fix the rampage problem?
To a certain degree, they made it. To a certain degree, they did make it in updates where fighting the monster in rampage would unlock the individual quest.
Yeah, which
was cool.
And it seems, and that's why I'm saying that's why I freaking think Rise is so good. They try to fix every complaint people have. They gave us freaking goated charms in the expansion, or like the ability to get goated charms easy.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is that was expansion, though. You know what I mean? Like,
I know. That's what I mean. Like,
the closest thing to rectifying was making Apex quests individualized after beating them at Rampage.
Yeah.
But that didn't fix the loop of Rampage weapons and like everything else involved.
True.
Oh, and it also didn't help that they half-assed the Apex system in general by not giving them any
with
equipment.
No armor and gear. Yeah.
So there was. Also, the Apex monsters would give you they would give you drops to upgrade Rampage weapons, which still required Rampage tickets. So
true.
they're they do. I doubt that they're going to. That's the thing. Like, I don't think he's giving up too fast or anything. I just think. Wilds is not like gonna be his favorite, which is fair, but
fair.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, not every Monster Hunter is gonna be your favorite,
Yeah.
I will never forgive Wilds for what they did to IG. I will never forgive them.
I'm gonna say right now, I don't like the wounds. I don't like them. I don't like how strong they are.
I think that the way that they flinch so often.
Flinch and topple.
Yeah, I think that's too much. I think if they made the wounds less prominent, like you need to put double the amount of damage onto a part to wound it, I think that would be ideal.
Yeah. And tie less weapon mechanics to wounds. That was a mistake.
That's what put them in the pigeonhole. That's what put them in the pigeonhole. And that's the thing, like Monster Hunter devs are good at like putting things on paper and be like, oh, this could be good in theory, but then they put too many eggs in one basket.
Well, like, I gotta say, I think it's still, if they went back and like made wounds more scarce, I think it would still be okay.
Yeah, I mean, certain weapons would suffer a little more because of it. IG,
like IG,
Charge
and
Blade.
maybe. Well, the Charge Blade, I'm like, I got over now because
you can just perfect guard.
You can perfect guard, and you can trigger that by the freaking your own better like small bomb, which I do all the time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and IG, which I actually like. You can charge the Kinsect and get all 3 extracts if you hit it right, which is also kind of cool. I like that.
That's kind of cool, yeah.
Yeah, so and those 2 weapons are like the only ones. The other ones don't have anything. Really.
True. I mean,
except shortcuts.
Yeah, shortcuts like Longsword. I think Swax as well.
TCS. Great sword TCS.
Swax isn't really as reliant on it. It just kind of helps a little bit. It's just a little extra.
Yeah. So we'll see what they do.
Yeah, we'll see. But
or
yeah,
maybe make it maybe make it just one more thing. Like keep wounds in the game and make they're still rewarding because they give you parts, right? But make him less, make him flinch the monsters less and topple them less. And make him so you actually need to do him in an opening. Because right now, as soon as you engage a wound, the monster gets locked down and can't do anything.
most of the time.
Right?
Sometimes monsters will hyper armor through stuff.
True,
but you
but
also have hyper armor
Exactly,
during the
you're
wound.
safe. Yeah, so
but
it's
that's
like
the thing. Like if you're going to be locked in, having forced to do an animation like that so prominently, you probably need some form of hyper armor. So that's fine.
yeah. See, that's my same issue with like having different the duration of wound attacks, like just like clutch claw attacks, which I freaking in my opinion they needed a universal duration of clutch claw attacks. Like every weapon has the same. Not the same animation, of course,
No,
but
trust.
it takes the
As
same.
someone who went from Gunlance to SNS, it's night and day. It's literal
and
night
that's
and
why
day.
that's why they need to be locked down right now, because there's some weapons like fucking swag. Swag takes 10 minutes, bro. You're swinging around like 20 seconds, and then you do the finisher. It's cool. It's cinematic. It's flashy, but it needs some adjusting. It's not like Clutch Club. It messes with the combat completely. I think I think that's one of the things that makes it too easy. That monsters get toppled too easily.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll just have to see what they do to counteract that, right?
Yeah, like stronger monsters maybe that are harder to wound. They could happen.
And I think in theory the battle scarring was meant to be a counter to a large degree.
Yeah, they take a while.
But I doubt they had really great players optimizing builds, testing everything. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It is what it is. Well, anyways, the main reason why I wanted to show you that video was I just wanted to show you like this is good criticism. Well, I wanted to show the whole world. Yeah, this is good criticism. He gave his reasons. He was respectable, and he gave actual like thought behind it. He didn't just say things. And even the things that he says, it wasn't just rage bait. He did throw some like humor in there, and he threw some like comparisons that may have fell flat if you don't know what he's talking about. But I think that kind of fluff adds character to videos. You know, I think it's better to have some soul behind something instead of just being interchangeable with ChatGPT. You know, so I think this is a class act way to show criticism. This was an excellent showcase of it. I don't agree with everything. Birdie doesn't agree with everything. He was a little more vocal than me about it, but I think that this was a perfect example of how you could be like, Wilds is good or decent, but to me it's not great, and you could do it in a good constructive way. And like the comparisons that he would use, they were fair because they either they just ditched it completely or they had access to it before. The point is the Monster Hunter team has experienced these things before. They have used different types of UI, and sometimes change for the sake of change isn't always great.
No, it's not.
And sometimes it's just a preference thing. Sometimes people don't like things just because it's not their preference, and it's equal, so
yeah,
it is what it is. Birdie, I'm glad you were here to just kind of like dive into this mess that is Monster Hunter controversy.
No, I'm in there all the time. Or at least I used to.
Oh yeah,
Reddit,
dude.
Twitter, I'm everywhere.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for doing this with me.
Yeah, anytime.
Tell the audience at home, thanks for listening. If you lasted this long, I appreciate you. Birdie, you got anything to say?
Well, stay meaty, my meat lovers.
Stay meaty, my friends.
And
Not
look forward
my
to the
meat
next
lovers,
video.
bro. Not my meat lovers. Yeah, look forward to the next one. I know it's been a while. Have a good one, guys.
I've got dinner ready. Let him